so it is Book Chick again. This is actually a continuation of my March TBR. Excuse the noise in the background. My husband is making dinner. Thank you, honey. But this is a continuation of my March TBR because I realized that I didn't include about half of the books that I actually finished in March, because I also did my childhood rereads in March, my first one. So I'm gonna talk about that now. It is a different day. I just am living in this kimono now because it's my favorite. But it is a different day. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about the rest of the books that I finished in March. I didn't mean to make this a two-part video, but two-part series, but here we are. So the next book, I guess, that I finished, not necessarily in chronological order, was Amelia Bedelia. So that these are all the childhood rereads that I read in March, basically. So you're gonna hear about them again. But it was Amelia Bedelia, which is basically just, she is a housemaid, at least in all the books that I read about her. She's always a housemaid, but she is really literal. So I would say her books are like kindergarten to first grade, like maybe end of kindergarten, or like with some help kindergarten, and like first grade level. But she is a housemaid and she just takes things really, really literally. So in the books that I read, she gets hired to clean someone's house, and they tell her things like change the towels, you know, draw the drapes, like someone will be delivering the ingredients for dinner, so if you could like go ahead and like dress the chicken, that would be good. But she takes it really, really literally. So she decides to change the towels. So she like chops them up into different shapes, and like draws a picture of the drapes, and like puts clothes on the chicken or the turkey or whatever it was. So it's just really silly, which is the nature of these books, but they were a huge part of my childhood and lots of good memories. So I wanted to include that in my childhood rereads. The next one that I read was actually the very first book that I have memories of reading, and it's The Horse's Hat. I think it's like Houghton, I think Mom said it's like Houghton Mifflin kind of like phonics style books. They're like little tiny picture books. She looks so angry. They're little picture books, but until you reach a certain level, they replace certain words with pictures. So like obviously if you're like a first time reader, the word horse is kind of hard. So they replace the word horse with a picture of the horse, and it just makes it a little bit easier. But for some reason, like the memory of reading that just stuck in my mind really well, and I had lots of good memories about it. So I included that as well. So that was, yeah. And then the next one that I read was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I don't know why I thought scientists were involved. I guess maybe because I think they are in the movie, but they're not at all in the book. So in the book, like it's just Grandpa telling his grandkids like this story about the town Chew and Swallow, where food just rains from the sky and everything is great. Like they don't have to go to the grocery store. It's awesome. Like 3 meals a day rain from the sky, and it's like everything that you need. So it's like breakfast, and you get like your main dish, your side dish, and something to drink. And then the same thing happens at lunch and then dinner. But then something starts happening where it will just like rain the same thing all day. Like one day it was just like raining peanut butter and jellies, I think they said. Another day it was just raining like just the bread, nothing else, just the bread. And then another day it was just raining like gigantic cheeseburgers or something. So they were like, well, this isn't good. So they had to move. But that was like another like good childhood memory. So I want to include that one too. And then the next one that I read was Katie and the Big Snow, which I did not remember reading this, but for some reason I remembered the cover when my mom, like, she was helping me like decide what to read and like helping me find all these books, which thank you, Mom. But like, she was helping me find all of these and I was like, oh my goodness. And I was like, why don't I remember reading this? But like, I distinctly remember the cover of this book. And she's like, I don't know, maybe you just flip through it. And I was like, maybe, but we're gonna include it. So I did. And basically it's about a snowplow named Katie, who it is like her job to plow the really big snows. Like the town, it's like this little tiny town, and the town has like regular snowplows, but then they get like some massive snows sometimes. And so that it's Katie's job to go and dig everybody out. And so she does. And I just felt like that was very typical for a child in the Midwest to love a book about snowplows. Yeah. But I liked it. And it had really beautiful illustrations. It had pretty pictures. The next one was, or the last one that I'm going to mention is If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, which I think is on a lot of people's like favorite books that they read as children. Like, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Like, I love that about children's books. They are exactly what they sound like they're going to be. It is literally what happens if you give a mouse a cookie. Like, this kid meets this mouse and he's like, hey, can I have a cookie? And the kid's like, sure, you can have a cookie. And then the mouse is like, well, now I'm thirsty. Can I have some milk? But then he wants to brush his teeth. And like, it's a whole thing. And by the end of the book, it's come full circle and the mouse is like, can I have a cookie? And the kid's like, okay. And so like, I don't know. I just love that about children's books. Like, they're exactly what they said they're going to be. They're usually really funny and that like often include beautiful illustrations or very silly illustrations, which is sometimes you just need that. And like in my childhood rereads, like it just brings back so many good memories. I loved it. But anyway, now we have discussed all 11 books that I read in March, and we can move on to this month's TBR. So yeah, hopefully that will be coming soon. But that concludes this video. So I will see you in my TBR. Bye.